My name is Pierce. Detective Pierce, if we're being formal. 30 years in this city, and the walls still talk to me. Not in words, but in creaks, in shadows, in the smell of old wood soaked in secrets. You learn to read them. You have to, if you want to survive the truth. It was a rainy Thursday, late October. I was finishing a lukewarm cup of coffee and trying to forget the screaming in the previous case when the call came in. The kind of call that doesn't come through dispatch, just a direct line, handwritten envelope under the door of my office. No return address. Just a name, the Ashcroft Estate. I hadn't heard that name in over 2 decades. I arrived before sunset. The Ashcroft Estate was nestled atop a ridge on the northern outskirts of the city, a winding gravel road slicing through withered trees. The kind that leaned in like eavesdroppers. The house itself? Massive. Colonial bones, Victorian skin. Once majestic, now with peeling paint, vines clawing at the shutters like time trying to pull it down. Mrs. Ashcroft greeted me at the door. Widow. Mid-50s. Dressed like mourning was a permanent state of being. She spoke in slow, deliberate phrases, as if rehearsing each line. Thank you for coming, detective. I don't know who else to trust. Something is wrong in this house. She led me through the foyer. Mahogany floors, antique chandeliers, the lingering scent of incense, and something else. Mold? Old perfume? It started with the noises, then the cold spots. But now voices. Voices? They whisper in the walls, in the east wing. And last night, I woke up to find this under my door. She handed me a folded note. Faded ink, but still legible. The room knows. The truth was never buried. No signature. The east wing was sealed off. According to Mrs. Ashcroft, that part of the house had been closed for years, ever since her husband died. Natural causes, she claimed. Stroke in the study. But when I asked to see the death certificate, she hesitated, then deflected. I'll have to find the paperwork. Somewhere in the archives. She was hiding something. I spent the night in the estate, per her request. Room at the far end of the main hall. A bed that creaked like a guilty conscience. Rain lashed at the windows. Around 2 a.m., the temperature dropped. Not just cold, unnaturally cold. I stepped out into the hallway. The house was silent. Then I heard it. A voice. No, not a voice. A whisper. Low, hissing, right against my ear though the corridor was empty. Find the ledger. I followed the sound. Down the creaky stairs, past the covered paintings and grandfather clocks frozen in time. Into the east wing. The door wasn't locked anymore. Dust blanketed everything inside. Furniture draped in sheets. Cobwebs hanging like forgotten curtains. But there, at the end of the hall, a light. Dim, flickering. The study. Exactly where her husband supposedly died. The door opened with a long groan. Inside, bookshelves loomed like sentinels. A fireplace sat cold and choked with ashes. And on the desk, a leather-bound ledger. I opened it. Ashcroft's handwriting. Names. Dates. Payments. But not all names were real. Some were aliases. Beside them, descriptions. Tonic supplied. Treatment administered. Outcome terminated. It wasn't a medical log. It was a record of human experiments. There were symbols in the margins. Alchemical ones. References to whisper chambers, ether conduction, soul resonance, madness. Or maybe something worse. Behind me, a floorboard creaked. I turned fast. Nothing. Then I saw her. A girl. Or the image of one. She stood barefoot in the hallway, wearing a white dress stained with something dark. Her face pale, lips slightly parted. But her eyes looked like they'd seen centuries. Then she spoke. He told me I was broken, that he would fix me. But I wasn't the only one, detective. I wasn't the last. I blinked, and she was gone. I returned to the ledger, hands colder now. The last entry was dated 22 years ago. The name? Margaret Hollow. Age 10. Status: incomplete. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. By morning, Mrs. Ashcroft was gone. Her bedroom empty. No sign of a struggle. No signs at all. I searched the grounds, the cellar, the attic. Nothing. Except a new note in the study. Truth rots in silence, Pierce. But the house remembers. And under it, a newspaper clipping. Yellowed. Torn at the corner. Local girl disappears. Margaret Hollow, last seen entering Ashcroft Estate. The case was from 22 years ago. Closed. Declared a runaway. But that's not what happened, is it? I took the ledger, left the estate, and filed a quiet request with city records. There were no official experiments registered under Ashcroft's name, but 5 missing persons between 1999 and 2003, each with one thing in common. They were all patients of Dr. Harold Ashcroft, and now I had reason to believe at least one of them was still in that house, or beneath it. The investigation was just beginning, and I hadn't yet figured out who was helping him. I spent the next few days cross-referencing Ashcroft's name through every system I had access to: medical records, private research grants, missing persons reports. The man was brilliant, respected, and completely erased, as if someone went to great lengths to scrub every trace of what he was truly working on. But the ledger didn't lie, and neither did the girl. Her face haunted me, those hollow eyes. She wasn't just a memory burned into the house, she was trapped there, which meant something was still active, still feeding. I returned to the Ashcroft estate at dusk. This time, I came prepared. Flashlight, gloves, recorder, camera, and a crowbar. The estate was locked, of course, but the east wing window had never been fixed. I slipped in without a sound. Dust was thicker than before. The whole place had grown colder, heavier, like the house knew I was back. Straight to the study. The ledger was gone, but in its place, a small, brass key and a scrap of paper. Below the pulpit, behind the lies, I knew where to look. Ashcroft kept a private chapel behind the estate. A decaying brick structure with a shattered stained glass window. Local rumors said he built it for his late wife, but if you looked closely at the carvings, they weren't religious. They were geometric, occult. The pulpit was still standing, dusty, splintered but intact. I felt around the base until I heard the soft click of a hidden panel. The brass key fit perfectly. Inside, a trapdoor. The passage below reeked of damp earth and metal. Narrow stone stairs led downward, winding like a spiral into the ground. I turned on my flashlight. At the bottom, a chamber. Steel walls, machinery fused with stone. Wires dangling like vines, jars broken and empty. Medical tools, and cages. 6 of them, human-sized. One still had bones inside. I found tapes. Old reel recordings stacked in a rusted cabinet. I played the first one using my field recorder. Ashcroft's voice. Subject 04. Initial exposure to the resonance field successful. Symptoms include auditory hallucinations, mild convulsions, and perception fragmentation. Subject claims to hear voices not present, whispering, coherent phrases. This may be a breakthrough. Another tape. Subject 06 resisted. Screamed for hours. Sedation was ineffective. Transfer complete. Outcome: loss of motor control. Brainwaves sync irregular. No voice activity. Terminated. A third. Margaret. Resilient. Shows high ether conductivity. Prolonged exposure yields unexpected results. She speaks with them. She knows. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't experimentation. It was ritual. Human lives used as conduits for something ancient or alien. I don't know. But Margaret wasn't a victim. She was the key. Suddenly, a low hum filled the room. Machines flickering to life, though I hadn't touched anything. Lights stuttering on, illuminating the chamber in sickly yellow. And then the whispering began again. Louder, clearer. Dozens of voices. Merging. Echoing. You're too late. He never left. You opened the door. And then I saw him. Dr. Ashcroft. Or something wearing his face. Emaciated. Pale. Eyes like obsidian. And behind him, the girl. Margaret. Floating above the ground. Hair weightless. Eyes glowing faint blue. She looked right at me. I wanted to be free. But now he wants more. She raised a hand. The chamber began to shake. I don't remember much after that. I woke up on the estate lawn. Bruised. Shaken. Ledger still gone. Tapes gone. Only the brass key remained in my pocket. Back at the office, I wrote everything down. Every detail. Sent anonymous copies to 2 journalists I trust. If I disappear, you'll know why. The Ashcroft estate has been marked for demolition. City records cite structural instability. But I've seen what's beneath. You can tear the house down, but you'll never silence the whispering. Not as long as someone is still listening. I stayed away for a week, tried to forget, tried to sleep, but the voices didn't stop. At night they'd come, muffled, broken fragments of whispers slipping through the walls of my apartment. I started unplugging everything. No electricity, no devices. Still they came. Always just behind me. just out of reach. Margaret's eyes, her voice, haunted me more than Ashcroft's twisted machines. She hadn't been a victim. She was made into something, or became it willingly. That final moment in the chamber, her words, the way she moved, I couldn't forget it. Now he wants more. It wasn't about Ashcroft anymore. Whatever door he'd opened, something stepped through, and I was standing on the threshold. I went back, couldn't help it. The estate was fenced off now, new security, city crews. But I found a way around, through the woods, past the edge of the garden where the statues had long since crumbled into moss and roots. The chapel door was gone, blown off maybe, or opened from the inside. I descended the same stone steps. The same hum, faint this time, like something idling just beneath perception. The chamber had changed. The cages were gone. In their place, chairs, 6 of them, arranged in a circle. Medical restraints. Dried blood still flaked along the edges. In the center of the circle, a new device. Sleek, not the crude wires and knobs from before. This was recent, clean, industrial. And beneath it, a nameplate. Ether Resonance Array, Model X3B. Property of Athlon Dynamics. My stomach turned. This wasn't some rogue experimenter in a crumbling estate. This was funded, backed, continued. Ashcroft wasn't the end of this. He was the beginning. I searched the walls, the cabinets. This time, there were files, polished, professionally bound. Code names, parameters, subjects. Margaret's name was there. So was Ashcroft's. But also, mine. A full dossier. Background. Cases worked. Psychological profile. Patterns of movement. I dropped the folder. This wasn't just about Ashcroft's obsession. They were watching me. Suddenly, motion behind me. I turned. No one. Then again. A shadow. A figure blurred just past my flashlight's reach. The whispers returned, louder than ever. And then, her. Margaret. But different now. Older. Taller. Wearing a lab coat. She stepped into the circle of chairs, hands clasped in front of her, calm as death. You shouldn't have come back, Pierce. I tried to speak. Couldn't. You wanted the truth, so we let you see it. Ashcroft opened the first gate. I opened the next. And you're our proof. She lifted a hand. The hum of the resonance array grew sharper, drilling into my skull like a scream made of metal. I woke up on my office floor. Cold sweat. The brass key was gone, but a note lay on my desk. Typed. Plain. Case closed. Thank you for your participation. You will be contacted again. I haven't touched the case file since. Some doors, once opened, never close. Some voices never stop whispering. And some truths. They're waiting for you to finish the story.